As we approach Christmas this year, I'm inviting you to focus on the major characters in the Christmas story. This week, let's talk about Joseph. Joseph was a carpenter, probably learned his trade from his father, and now he works in his shop, and let's assume that he has a partner that works with him. So there's a little conversation between Joseph and his partner on Monday morning, and the partner says, "Well, Joseph, how was your weekend?" And after a long pause, Joseph said, "Well, it was very concerning." "Well, what's the concern?" "Well, the concern is that Mary is gone. We don't know where she went. We don't know when she's coming back. And we don't know who she went to see." And his partner says, "Well, that's kind of a concern, isn't it?" "Yes, it is." So they go back to their work in the shop for a week, and then next Monday, same question comes up again. "How was your weekend, Joseph?" "Well, it was very depressing." "Why was it depressing?" "Because we still don't know where Mary is. She hasn't come back. We have no explanation of why she went or where she went or when she's coming back." "That really is depressing, isn't it, Joseph?" "Yes, it is." Well, those Monday morning conversations went on for 3 months, and Joseph is getting more and more desperate and more depressed about the whole situation. Well, then one Monday morning, his partner comes and says, "Any news about Mary?" Joseph says, "Well, yes, she came back." "She came back. Well, that's good." "Well, it is good, but she's pregnant." "She's pregnant, Joseph." "Well, you know what that means, don't you?" "She's been gone for 3 months without any explanation, and she don't know who she was with, and now she's pregnant." Joseph says, "Yes, I know. But now what?" "Well, that's the big question. Mary tells me the story that she's had an angel come to her to tell her that she was to give birth to a child, and the child's name should be called Jesus." In the text, it says this: "But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, 'Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins.'" So Joseph had a visit by an angel, as Mary had. Now Joseph is up against the question, are you willing to follow God's plan even though you don't understand all of what it means? That's the challenge. And Joseph decides that he will accept Mary, and he would believe the message from the angel, and he would accept Mary, and he would not divorce her because he was legally bound to her through the betrothal. But now he's going to accept her as his wife, and he's going to follow God's plan. You see, faith includes a willingness to follow God's plan. That's critical to what the meaning of faith really is. And then you read on to this story and you find there are other times when Joseph is tested on his willingness to follow God's plan. For example, the news comes that there's a census and you have to go back to your home city, and that means that Mary and Joseph had to go to Bethlehem. Bethlehem is 90 miles away by crow fly, that is, straight line. But they didn't travel by crow, they traveled by donkey. If you can walk 15 miles a day, if she can ride the donkey part of the time, walk part of the time, and cover 15 miles a day, that means that's a 6-day journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. There were 3 times when I had to get my wife to the hospital because she was about to deliver a baby. And I knew exactly how long it would take me to get her to the hospital in a warm car. Took 15 minutes. And then she would have the kind of medical attention that she needed to give childbirth. But for Joseph, it meant a 6-day journey walking or riding on a donkey, and no assurance of any medical attention. In fact, they didn't get any medical attention even when they got to Bethlehem. Joseph had to follow God's plan. If it would have been me, I would have been inclined to say, Lord, did you forget that she's pregnant? Well, then there's another time when he's tested on the following 2. They got the news that Herod was trying to kill all the babies in Bethlehem because they were a threat to his throne. And they decided they needed to go to Egypt. That is a 300-mile journey with a young baby and perhaps a donkey, maybe even 2 donkeys. 300 miles by donkey is a long travel. And Joseph was tested, are you willing to follow? And he did follow and followed out God's plan. You see, many times God calls us because of our faith. Are we willing to follow? I much prefer to use the word follower than the word Christian, because Christian means so many different things to different people today. For some people, a Christian is somebody that goes to church now and then. But a follower is someone who has declared they desire to follow Christ. Maybe that's where you are this Christmas. Is God calling you to follow in obedience to a plan you don't fully understand? If you're going to wait until you fully understand it, that means you have your own plan in mind, and that's not God's plan. The plan of real followers is to be willing to follow God's plan even when we don't fully understand it. That's the challenge of Christmas. If we can help you in your walk with God, call us at LifePoint 612-305-8362.